I've done some reading for from the Gaslight Effect book before, and this is an awesome book by Dr. Robin Stern. It's hard to read backwards. I read the introduction and I did post a video on that. This looks like it could be like weird. I don't know. Okay, and so now I'm going to read chapter 1, What is Gaslighting? Katie is a friendly, upbeat person who walks down the street with a smile for everyone. Her job as a sales rep means that she's often talking to new people, which she loves. An attractive woman in her late 20s, she went through a long period of dating before she finally settled down with her current boyfriend, Brian. Brian can be sweet, productive, and considerate, but he is also an anxious, fearful guy who treats every new person with suspicion. When the two of them go for a walk together, Katie is outgoing and talkative, easily falling into conversation with the man who stops to ask directions or the woman whose dog cuts across their path. Brian, though, is full of criticism. Can't she see how people are laughing at her? She thinks they like that casual conversation, but they're actually rolling their eyes and wondering why she's so chatty. And that man who asks them for the directions, he was only trying to seduce her. She should have seen how he leered at the moment she looked back at him. Besides, behaving in such a manner is highly disrespectful to him, her boyfriend. How does she think it makes him feel to see her making eyes at every guy she passes? Wow, that sounds familiar. At first, Katie laughs it off as her boyfriend complains. She's been like this all of her life, she tells him, and she enjoys being friendly. But after 2 weeks of relentless criticism, she starts to doubt herself. Maybe people are laughing at her. And maybe she is being flirtatious and rubbing her boyfriend's nose in it. What a terrible way to treat the man she loves. Again, it sounds so friggin' familiar. Eventually, when Katie walks down the street, she can't decide how to behave. She doesn't want to give up her warm and friendly approach to the world, but now whenever she smiles at a stranger, she can't help imagining what Brian would think. Liz is a top-level executive with a major advertising firm, a stylish woman in her late 40s with a solid 20-year marriage and no children. She worked hard to get where she is, pouring all her extra energy into her career. Now she seems to be on the verge of reaching her goal, in line to take over the company's New York office. Then, at last minute, someone else is brought in to take the job. Liz swallows her pride and offers to give him all the help she can. At first, the new boss seems charming and appreciative, but soon Liz starts to notice that she's being left out of important decisions and not invited to major week meetings. She hears rumors that the clients are being told she doesn't want to work with them anymore and has recommended that they speak to her new boss instead. When she complains to her colleagues, they look at her in bewilderment. But he always praises you to the skies, they insist. Why would he say such nice things if he was out to get you? Finally, Liz confronts her boss, who has a plausible explanation for every incident. Look, he says kindly at the end of the meeting, I think you're being way too sensitive about all of this. Maybe even a little paranoid. Would you like a few days off to de-stress? Liz feels completely disabled. She knows she's being sabotaged, but why is she the only one who thinks so? Mitchell is a grad student in his mid-20s who's studying to become an electrical engineer. Tall, gangly, and somewhat shy, he has taken a long time to find the right woman. But he's just begun dating someone he really likes. One day, his girlfriend mildly points out that Mitchell still dresses like a little boy. Mitchell is mortified, but he sees what she means. Off he goes to a local department store where he asks the personal shopper to help him choose an entire wardrobe. The clothes make him feel like a new man, sophisticated, attractive, but he enjoys the appreciative glances women give him on the bus ride home. But when he wears the new clothes to Sunday dinner at his parents' home, his mother bursts out laughing. "Oh, Mitchell, that outfit is all wrong for you. You look ridiculous," she says. "Please, dear, next time you go shopping, let me help you." When Mitchell feels hurt and asks his mother to apologize, she shakes her head sadly. Was only trying to help, she said. And I'd like an apology from you for that tone of voice. Mitchell's confused. He liked his new clothes, but maybe he does look ridiculous. Has he been really rude to his mom? Understanding the gaslight effects. Katie, Liz, and Mitchell have one thing in common. They're all suffering the gaslight effects. The gaslight effect results from a relationship between two people. A gaslighter who needs to be right in order to preserve his own sense of self and his sense of having power in the world, and a gaslightee who allows the gaslighter to define her sense of reality because she idealizes him and seeks his approval. Gaslighters and gaslightees can be either gender, and gaslighting can happen in either type of relationship. But I'm going to call gaslighters he and gaslighters she, since that's the pairing I most often see in my practice. I'll explore a variety of relationships with friends, bosses, and colleagues, but the male-friend romantic pairing will be my major focus. For example, Katie's gaslighting boyfriend insists that the world is a dangerous place and that Katie's behavior is inappropriate and insensitive. When he feels stressed or threatened, he has to be right about the issues, and he has to get Katie to agree that he is. Katie values the relationship and doesn't want to lose Brian, so she starts to see things from his point of view. Maybe the people they meet are laughing at her. Maybe she is being flirtatious. The gaslighting has begun. Likewise, Liz's boss insists that he really cares about her and that any concerns she has are because she's paranoid. Liz wants her boss to think well of her. After all, her career is at stake, so she starts to doubt her own perceptions and tries to adopt his. But her boss's view of things really doesn't make sense to Liz. If he's not trying to sabotage her, why is she missing all those meetings? Why are her clients failing to return her calls? Why is she feeling so worried and confused? Liz is so trusting that she just can't believe anyone could be as blatantly manipulative as her boss seems to be. She has to be doing something that warrants this terrible treatment. Wishing desperately for her boss to be right, but knowing deep down that he isn't, makes Liz feel completely disoriented, no longer sure what she sees or what she knows. Her gaslighting is in full swing. Mitchell's mother insists that she's entitled to say anything she wants to her son, and that is being rude if he objects. Mitchell would like to see his mother as a good, loving person, not as someone who says mean things to him. So when she hurts his feelings, he blames himself, not her. Both Mitchell and his mother agree. The mother is right and Mitchell is wrong. Together, they are creating the gaslight effect. Of course, Katie, Liz, and Mitchell all have other choices. Katie might ignore her boyfriend's negative remarks, ask him to stop making them, or, as a last resort, break up with him. Liz could say to herself, wow, this new boss is a piece of work. Well, maybe that smarmy charm has fooled everyone in his company, but not me. Mitchell might reply calmly, sorry, Mom, you're the one who owes me an apology. All of them could decide that on some basic level they are willing to live with their gaslighter's disapproval. They know they are good, capable, loving people, and that's all that matters. If our three gaslightees were able to take this attitude, there would be no gaslighting. Maybe their gaslighters would still behave badly, but their behavior would no longer have such a pernicious effect. Gaslighting works only when you believe what the gaslighter says and needs him to think well of you. And you need him to think well of you. The problem is gaslighting is insidious. It plays on our worst fears, our most anxious thoughts, our deepest wishes to be understood, appreciated, and loved. When someone we trust, respect, or love speaks with great certainty, especially if there's a grain of truth in his words, or if he's hit on one of our pet anxieties, it can be very difficult not to believe him. And when we idealize the gaslighter, when we want to see him as the love of our life, an admirable boss, or a wonderful parent, then we have even more difficulty sticking to our sense of reality. Our gaslighter needs to be right. We need to win his approval, and so the gaslighting goes on. Of course, neither of you may be aware of what's really happening. The gaslighter might genuinely believe every word he tells you or sincerely feel that he's only saving you from himself. Remember, he's being driven by his own needs. Your gaslighter might seem like a strong, powerful man, or he may appear to be an insecure, tantrum-throwing little boy. Either way, he feels weak and powerless. To feel powerful and safe, he has to prove that he's right, and he has to get you to agree with him. Meanwhile, you've idolized your gaslighter and are desperate for his approval, although you may not consciously realize that. But if there's even a little piece of you that thinks you're not good enough by yourself, if even a small part of you feels the need your gaslighter's love or approval to be whole, then you are susceptible to being gaslighted. And a gaslighter will take advantage of that vulnerability to make you doubt yourself over and over. So I am going to stop there because I'm really tired. But I will do another video shortly on, are you being gaslighted? Turn up your gaslight radar. Check for these 20 telltale signs. I'll be back.